All right, let's dive into a problem that pretty much everyone with data runs into. Which tool should you actually use? You've got the classic Showdown, right? There's the comfortable, familiar spreadsheet, then there's the raw power of a real BI tool, and of course the total precision of building something from scratch. So, how do you even begin to choose? Let's figure it out.
And this is really the question that kicks the whole thing off. For so many of us, spreadsheets are just home. They're our data comfort zone. But what happens when your data, or your ambition, starts to get bigger than what the tool can handle? What happens when you finally slam into that invisible wall?
And boom! This right here, it's a very, very real wall. 1,048,576. That's it. That's the max number of rows you get in a single Excel worksheet. And as one user on a forum pointed out, this exact number is the reason they had to start looking for something bigger. It's that moment you realize, yep, I've outgrown my favorite tool.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by really looking at that Excel ceiling. Then we'll check out the alternatives, buying a business intelligence tool like QuickSight, or, just building your own. We're going to get into a super candid user review of QuickSight, touch on what it takes to go custom, and then wrap it all up with a decision framework to help you make the right call.
So yeah, Excel. It's familiar, it's on basically every computer on the planet, but as soon as your data starts to get big and complicated, those cracks really start to show. And it's not just about that row limit, it's about how you scale, how you work with a team, and how fast you can move.
Let's just be honest about the main problems here. At its heart, Excel is a single-player game, which makes trying to collaborate in real time a complete mess of final_v2_final_final.xlsx, right? And it's so much manual work. Plus, the visuals can be pretty limited, and it's just not built for the kind of interactive, live data that businesses really need today.
So, you've hit that ceiling. Now what? You're basically at a crossroads. Do you go out and buy a solution that's ready to go, or do you roll up your sleeves and build something totally custom? This is the classic buy versus build dilemma, and it's a big one.
And this really lays out the trade-off perfectly. Building a custom dashboard gives you absolute control. It's tailored to your exact unique needs. But, and it's a big but, it's going to cost you big time in development and maintenance. On the flip side, buying a tool like QuickSight is all about speed. You get features out of the box, you get vendor support, and you can get dashboards up and running incredibly fast.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that buy option and talk about Amazon's QuickSight. But here's the deal. We're not going to read the marketing copy. Nope. We're going to look at it through the eyes of an actual, experienced user who spent months deep in the trenches with this tool. This quote from a really detailed Reddit review just perfectly sets the tone. It captures the whole story of QuickSight in one sentence. It's a fantastic tool if you have a mountain of data, but maybe not if your analysis is super complex.
And here's the breakdown. On the pro side, you can't argue with its ability to handle huge data sets. We're talking up to a terabyte. And its Spice engine makes it feel incredibly fast. Plus, if you're already in the AWS world, it just plugs right in. But then, there are the cons. It doesn't have a true data model, which is just a fancy way of saying it's hard to connect different tables of data in complex ways. The calculations are pretty basic. Users complain that the filters are a pain, and it's missing a proper workflow for development teams.
This might be my favorite analogy from that whole user review, because it's just so clear. Think of QuickSight as a pivot table on steroids. It lets you slice and dice one giant flat table of data with incredible speed. But if you need to build a complex web of relationships between multiple tables, well, you're going to have a bad time.
So what's the secret sauce that makes it so fast? It's this thing called Spice. It stands for Super Fast Parallel In-Memory Calculation Engine. Basically, instead of hitting your main database every time you click something, Spice sucks all the data into Amazon's own super fast memory first. That's what gives you that snappy, instant feel, even with gigantic datasets.
You do have another option, though. You can use Spice for that top-tier performance, or you can use what's called Direct Query for freshness. So if you absolutely need up-to-the-second live data, Direct Query will hit your database in real time. The catch? It's slower. For the best user experience, most people are going to want to stick with Spice.
Okay, so let's talk about the reality of using this thing day in and day out, because users are very direct. They call the filters annoying and dumb. They say the development workflow is pretty bad. The whole product just feels kind of incomplete. It's gotten so frustrating for some that they've actually nicknamed it QuickRegret. Now, this doesn't mean it's a bad tool, but you have to go into it with your eyes wide open to these very real frustrations.
So, if the idea of an off-the-shelf tool and all its quirks seems a little too restrictive, well, there is that other path, building your own. This is the path of ultimate control. Every pixel, every feature is exactly what you want. But it also comes with total responsibility.
Look, when you build from scratch, you are in the driver's seat. Every button, every filter, it all works exactly how you designed it. The only limit is your team's imagination, but you also own everything that comes with it. The initial build, the bug fixes, the security patches, the new feature requests, all of it. It's incredibly powerful, but it's a serious commitment of time and money, pretty much forever.
Okay, so we've seen the good, the bad, and the clunky for all three options. Now, let's pull all of this together into a really practical framework that can help you decide which tool is the right one for your specific job.
I absolutely love this analogy for making the call. Excel is the trusty screwdriver in your toolbox. It's versatile, everyone knows how to use it, and it's perfect for small jobs. QuickSight, that's your power drill. It does a similar job but with way more speed and power, even if it's a little less nimble. And a custom dashboard, that's a CNC machine. It's a massive investment engineered to do one specific thing with incredible precision.
And this decision matrix just makes it crystal clear. If your boss says, I need this live by next week, well, QuickSight is probably your best bet. If your data is enormous and already sitting in AWS, again, QuickSight is kind of a no-brainer. But if you need really unique, complex calculations or you want total control over how it looks and feels, you've got to be looking at a custom build. And hey, if your team isn't super technical, the simple familiarity of Excel might still be the smartest choice.
So really, it all comes down to this. Your data has a story to tell. A story about your customers, your business, what's working, and what isn't. The real question isn't just which tool is the best. It's which tool is the best one to help you read the specific story that your data is trying to tell you. Thanks for tuning in.